Our panel of experts for our final session, The Intersection of Technology and Entertainment, are here to share their views on the importance of technology for their success. Leading the discussion is Loretta Walker, Vice President, External Affairs, Employee and Engagement and Communications, AT&T California. Loretta heads the company's local government and community affairs initiatives in 16 counties in the state's North Bay, East Bay, and Central Valley. In that position, she's the chief decision maker for public policy and philanthropic initiatives affecting over 7 million people. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Loretta Walker.
Good afternoon. I bring you additional greetings from AT&T California. We're honored to be a participating sponsor at this year's Black Enterprise Tech Connect Summit for the second year in a row. As an evolving tech company with an expanding footprint in the entertainment space, it is important that we play a part in this incredible event. Our merger with DirecTV is creating new opportunities for us that make an impact in this space. By year's end, we'll launch DirecTV Now, an affordable streaming service with over 100 premium channels, including HBO, top Viacom networks like BET, Comedy Central, and MTV. We've also announced plans to expand our 1 gigabit internet connection service in 11 new metropolitan areas, totaling 67. But we couldn't make this a reality without our innovative workforce. Thanks to a tremendous push towards education at all levels in STEM and our own initiatives to attract more diverse candidates, we're growing our business with an employee base that reflects the communities we serve. Technology is affecting the entertainment industry as it has been for decades. Some might say that the late 1990s and early 2000s helped lay the groundwork for the current intersection of entertainment and technology. The game has officially changed. Before we get to the exciting conversation ahead, I have a few goodies for a lucky person in the audience. If everyone would reach underneath your seat and see if there's an AT&T logo hidden there, we have something special for you. I'm sorry, AT&T employees, you're not eligible. Have we found it? If you can raise your hand if you're, okay, there we go. Congratulations to our winner. Now, without further ado, please give a warm welcome to our moderator, Paul Lane, and our esteemed panelists. It is my pleasure to introduce our moderator for the Intersection of Technology and Entertainment session. Paul Lane is a television and radio personality and host of the TECHZONE. He honed his career in broadcasting and bureau chief for NBC News Radio, KCAA 1050 AM in Southern California's Inland Empire, as well as the host of their weekday morning show. Later, he served as the bureau chief of the ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Paul's latest endeavor is co-host of a brand new TV morning show entitled Coffee Talk, simulcast on KMET 1490. Join me in welcoming Paul Lane.
Thank you, Loretta, and thank Black Enterprise for inviting me to the party. We're so happy to be with you today to talk about this very, very wonderful event. We have a great discussion in store for you. So let me get right down to the introduction of our panel. First up is Ty Ahmad-Taylor, CEO, THX Ltd. Now, Ty runs digital and CE businesses from its inception and at scale. He has worked at 3 startups, 1 went public, the other 2 were acquired, and at large media and consumer electronic companies, and has more than 20 years experience in information design, consumer-facing software, product development, leadership, and interactive television services development. Please welcome Ty Ahmad-Taylor. All right, glad to have you, Ty. All right, my friend. All right, our next panelist, Ryan Leslie. He's an entrepreneur and CEO of Superphone. Now, Ryan is a Grammy-nominated recorded artist, multi-platinum producer, and avid technologist, in addition to logging studio time with Madonna, Jay-Z, Kanye West, and Beyonce. He also launched his first internet pop star, Cassie, who sold over 650,000 albums, fueled by an aggressive pre-Twitter social media campaign on MySpace. How many of us remember MySpace, right? Yeah, some of you guys didn't accept my friend request, but we're fine. It's all right. Now, Ryan is an architect and ultimate case study for disruptive media simple CRM for creators and SMBs, a product called Superphone. Now, bravely opting to remove his latest album from iTunes, he used an inbound SMS campaign powered by Superphone to earn over $570,000 in D2C revenue from just 16,000 fans. A 4-time multiple of royalties received on his major label debut, which sold over 180,000 copies. Please, let's welcome Ryan Leslie to the stage. All right. Great to have you, Ryan. All right, now, rounding out our panel is Corey Rosemond. He's a business development director at Plantronics. Now, Corey is responsible for new business, partnerships, and alliances for Plantronics, consumer business, enabling the company to better support the connected consumer with an emphasis on gaming, virtual reality, esports, active fitness, and entertainment wireless Bluetooth. Stereo solutions. Corey is on the forefront of enhancing the user experience to add value for gaming, platforms, publishers, esports, producers, and others within the appropriate ecosystem. Please, let's welcome Corey Rosemond. All right, great to have you gentlemen with me. How you guys doing today? Good. So let's start off our discussion when it comes to technology and how technology influences the arts and entertainment today. So Ty, let's get your take on that.
Well, I think one of the conversations we're having in the back is that there's never been more video consumed than the video that's being consumed today. The difference, however, is that it's not being consumed through the channels that we deem to be traditional. And so the changes include things like people aren't going to see it in the normal venues, and we partner with them, so I can't name them by name. But what it means is that there's greater opportunities for people who are content creators and both from a individual content creator perspective and people who work in cinema or in film or in video to actually get the material distributed. And so, you know, other people, not myself, have labeled it as peak TV, even though you're not necessarily watching it on a TV.
Awesome. And Ryan, what's your take on that, bud?
Yeah, I would say that technology has definitely, I see so many smiling faces. First of all, hello everybody, right? I would say that technology really nowadays has, at least for me personally, and hopefully for everyone, is allowing us to become closer and better connected to the people who are going to be most important to us in achieving what we want to achieve. And so what I mean by that is, for me to have even gotten into Harvard, or for me to have gotten my break in the music business, or for me to even right now have the ability to be sitting on this stage with all of you, really, despite the fact that I may have more than 1 million social followers, there are key specific people with whom I needed to have a relationship to actually get me into each one of those milestones in my life and career. What I've been finding is that LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all of these places where we're building audiences, they're creating very, very weak connections where when you want to activate them, you don't actually have a cell phone number so you can pick up the phone and call a journalist when you want to tell your story. You can't pick up the phone and call one of these panelists, right? Maybe you can send them a tweet or maybe send them an in-mail, but we already know how challenging it is to actually get a response. And so really what we're finding in the advent of messaging as potentially one of the dominant forms of communication, human communication, when we can apply technology to give an intelligence layer on top of that messaging, then the messaging can be more powerful, it can be stronger, and we can start to prioritize the relationships and conversations that are going to be most important for us to actually achieve what we want to achieve.
Awesome, thanks Ryan. Over 1 million social media followers.
Yes, sir.
Can you tag me in the post? Because I need some more
got
followers.
you.
Can you hook me up? All right.
I got you.
Sounds good. And Corey, what's your take on that too?
I mean, I think overall, technology has really lowered the barriers to entry for good ideas, good content, and it really has made the world much smaller. And how that has applied in entertainment and what I've seen personally firsthand is if you have a good idea, if you have good content, if you are entertaining, if you can really draw an audience where before there were all these gatekeepers, there were just these barriers to you getting your word and your message out there. And what we have in today's world is truly a scenario where if you have solid content, you're going to get a following. It's going to go viral. You're going to get to that audience, and you just weren't able to do that 5, 10, 20 years ago in the same ways that you can do it now. And so what I believe is that there really is a focus these days on doing versus talking about it. Like, you know, I remember the days when folks would have a demo tape or a demo CD and give it a try, and they're hitting the barbershops. You know, if I see someone doing that today, I'm gonna say, man, just get online. I mean, get people listening to your stuff. And seriously, and you, if it's that tight, it's gonna get out there, and you're seeing it happen every day.
And I think all of us have relatives out there who had an album drop every year, right? With the demo tape. You know, my album's coming out, it's definitely gonna happen. But now with technology now, they can definitely put the content out there. And speaking of entertaining content, have we reached the time in our lives where it's subjective now? Because think about it, some people think somebody making a drink is entertaining. Some people think that somebody who's eating 1,000 hamburgers is entertaining. What kind of advice can we give ones out there who are thinking about having a content-driven channel of what entertainment looks like today? Ty, let's start with you.
There's a young gentleman I know, he has a enterprise that he started called JR Sport Brief, and he's done this very thing where he's created his own brand. And you know, one of the things that he does is he travels around the world, so he goes at the drop of a hat. He's a very good self-marketer, which is obviously a key prerequisite towards achieving success in the field. And I think the key thing that I would leave everybody with is that he produces material on a consistent basis and with regularity, so that people come to expect that every 3 days I'm going to get a new video from him, and that his tone and presentational motifs are consistent across platforms. So whether it's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or through other venues, you know that you're getting the authentic voice of someone who's going to speak truth to God, so to speak, when talking to professional athletes. And that's really sort of the core of what I think you should look for. Awesome.
And Ryan, we know when it comes to music, everybody's a world-class singer, right? Instead of singing an A flat, they sing in a Q minus. So when it comes to ones out there who want to get out there and get their music heard or get things out there, what kind of advice would you like to give ones out there?
Yeah, well, I would say this. I mean, I'm definitely a product of social platforms which give you the ability to distribute your content worldwide. As you mentioned, my first success story in the music business was via a very aggressive MySpace campaign, and we had a lot of fun with that. And then what we realized is that even though we had grown Cassie's MySpace following from 0 to 650,000, when the platform changed, we lost contact with the audience. And that was a tough lesson to learn. And what I started to realize is that every social platform actually, that same risk exists. And so what I would caution everyone, whether you're a small business creating content so that people can understand what your small business, what the value proposition of your small business is, or whether you're interested in being a singer or a rapper or a dancer or a comedian, or like my brother was talking about, having a sports channel or being a talking head on YouTube, I would caution that it's possible today to actually have ownership of your audience. And what I mean by that is that every startup founder I know, they actually know every single user of their application. They know when they log in, they know at what point they actually bounce out of the application, they know how many users they have, and when they want to give an update to the users of their application, they don't have to necessarily post it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc. They can press a button, send an email to every single user. And so I would say that as a content creator, the technology that we have access to today enables you to have ownership of your audience. Now, some use email marketing, so maybe you use something like MailChimp or Constant Contact. And I was just talking in the back with Ime, and Facebook Messenger also gives you the ability to actually own your audience. But I would say that a direct line of communication, one that is not intermediated by some other social platform which you don't own, is going to be a key to success in the future, especially now. When I started making online content, I was early in the game. But now if you go on YouTube, the number of videos that are generated every day, if you go on Facebook, the number of videos that are posted every single day, the number of tweets that are posted. I mean, I could probably go on my Twitter right now. I haven't been on for 25 minutes. There's 7,000 tweets.
Tag me.
Right.
Don't forget to tag me.
Yeah, make sure I tag you, right? Yeah. So I would say that the winners in terms of content creation are the ones that actually have ownership of a direct line of communication with their audience.
Awesome. And Corey?
Yeah, let me actually pivot off of that, because truly the content winners and losers is all in the eye of the beholder. If your fighting cats are popular, then you do that right, you can monetize on it. But from this audience perspective, and the impact or the insight I want to give to you all is thinking about actually enhancing the content. So for example, I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but if you can build a better auto-tune filter that can make anyone that sings or can't sound like they can. And imagine applying that filter, applying that tech to your YouTube video. Now, sure, Ryan, you'll have all kind of pretenders out there thinking that they can sing and they're actually sounding pretty good. But guess what? The person that makes that filter or that app, they might make a couple of dollars. So the point is, there's always going to be content creators out there. Everyone's going to want to self-express. Get and figure out a way to enhance that, to enlighten it. I mean, if you think about Facebook at the end of the day, everyone wanted to share photos, everybody wanted to keep in contact, and I always look at Facebook as the world's biggest high school cafeteria. If y'all remember it, you had your table, and everybody would come at lunch and talk about all the latest and the gossip and the news and politics and everything, and it was that one funny person that everybody loved to hear about, and on Friday they might really get some good jokes in. That's what Facebook kind of is to me. And so what they did is they literally enhanced your ability to get back to being like the world's biggest lunchroom. And so that's just one thing. When I think about content, when I think about content creation, I think about, well, where can I add some value to that? And then that can scale out to all the content creators out there in the world.
Awesome. Thank you for that expression. Now let's shift it to hardware now. And how has development of hardware been influenced by the increasing appetite for digital media and digital entertainment? Ty, we'll start with you.
So I worked previously at Samsung in their television set group, so we had to actually stay on top of this very thing. What do you mean by hardware? Meaning
different devices out there, how now since we can all watch different streaming media on all devices and things like that. So the fact that we're at the point we're now with technology where we can stream different things, do you see hardware increasing with more devices for the end user, one person or a whole family? What do you think about that?
No, I don't. I think we talked a little bit about more videos being consumed than ever before, even though it's not being done in traditional venues. What I think you see from a hardware perspective is that the ultimate endpoint is the mobile device for now, and the mobile device has convenience which trumps fidelity. So right now you're seeing just, it's important to me, one, to get whatever video they want on whatever platform that they deem appropriate. The opportunity looking beyond that, beyond the current mobile platform, is essentially what's going on in the virtual reality space and also in the voice space. And in the voice space, we're very much in the first minute of a 24-hour day, meaning that who controls voice control over the home is yet to be determined. Amazon has a fairly large lead, but you see both Google and Apple trying to play in that space as well. And that's really the next, which is the ability to speak to things and get what you want.
All right, thank you. And Ryan, what's your take on that as far as the hardware that we have today being influenced by what we're seeing today in entertainment?
Yeah. Well, I would say that I've been super fortunate to be able to, number one, actually I was on South by Southlawn last Monday, and there was a booth there which allowed you via virtual reality to spend 9 minutes in solitary confinement, right? And
That's popular.
yeah, it was one of the more popular booths, right? And so I think, honestly, when you look at how, Tupac was actually on stage, and when you look at the ability to bring a three-dimensional experience to a user from their mobile device by just attaching some goggles to it, right? So I put this on with some goggles, and now I'm actually in a three-dimensional experience, right? And then when you look at Pokemon, right, and you just see augmented reality, right? So they're using a mobile device, but they're seeing creatures, right, next to each other. Whether I'm on the plane, and someone says, "Oh, can you move over so I can get this Pokemon?" So
No.
Right. But I really believe that and I agree with you that the mobile device is going to be that final destination in terms of hardware. But there's going to be a great deal of enhancements, and I think that we're all like piggybacking off of each other, but the ability to enhance that experience is what's going to make entertainment that much more exciting.
Thank you. And I know, Corey, you and I talked about this, about virtual reality.
Right.
And what do you see virtual reality playing in this whole thing?
Wow. When I think about virtual reality, right now it's being projected to be a $50 billion industry by 2021, which is 5 years from now.
It's supposed to be $65 billion this year, so you have to put a discount on it. That's all.
Absolutely. Once again, going into from an entrepreneurial standpoint, from how do I become part of that 50 billion that's out there for the taking, theoretically. Once again, it goes back to the enhancements. It goes back to thinking about the aging population, for example. I'm just making up accessories, but if someone were able to create, an enhancement to like an iPhone or Samsung device, now mind you, you could bring it to Apple. You could just try to develop it as a third party, but an accessory that may help those folks in between glasses and bifocals be able to read their mobile phones out there. And I know probably some folks have come across this problem or issue, a challenge. And accessories like that, you see these things coming out, people developing patents really quick. They'll make a technology or a feature, if you will, get it out there real quick, real hush-hush, get acquired by Samsung or Apple or Google for a $4 to $6 million acquihire. I mean, by show of hands, who's ever heard of acquihire before? Okay, just a few hands out there. What acquihire, let me just go into this on hardware really quick, but it really applies to all businesses. A lot of companies will start a tech that is ancillary to a platform tech. So think about, you make some unique feature, you make a really intuitive app that just every iPhone should have. Apple may come to you and your two or three founders and say, okay, we're going to hire you to come work at Apple, and here's a check for $4 million. It's not going to make the news. No one's going to hear about it except your family. They might even sign you to an NDA. Don't even talk about it. Just tell everybody you got a job at Apple. But between the three of you, it's $4 million. No VCs, no seed funding, split 3 ways, and you just got a job at Apple, and that's it. Those are just, when you brought up hardware, those are some of the opportunities. When I think about the people in this room, the minds in this room, the years of working in a corporation, learning a lot of stuff and feeling like, wait, I can really contribute more, but where can I contribute? Think about that, and it goes back to enhancements once again, but my point is, I think we've all discussed this, we as African Americans are some of the most creative people in this country, which is one of the most creative countries in the world. And so my point is don't be afraid to think about something you can add on to an existing big, large platform profitable item, because opportunities like that do exist.
Awesome. And Ty, let's talk about your company, THX, and what we have to look forward to on the horizon that can help out when it comes to entertainment and technology, some things we get to look forward to.
Sure. So the company is 33 years old. We were created by George Lucas in 1983. After he made Empire Strikes Back, he wasn't really happy with the way that it looked or sounded in movie theaters. So with the debut of Return of the Jedi, he created THX, and we act as a guarantor of quality in the audiovisual space. So what that means is we work with consumer electronics manufacturers, cinema operators, and automotive companies to make sure that they're providing high quality audio video experiences to their consumers, whether they're on the road, on the go, or at home. We also are working with not companies, but people like Beyonce. We did the acoustic design for the Formation Tour. So if you went to go see the Formation Tour, you saw a big THX trailer right before she came on stage, and that's because we did the acoustic design so you can get a superior acoustic experience at the Beyonce concert, as opposed to, most concerts basically sound like a 12-year-old boy did the equalization. It's like, just put up the bass. And so this basically allows you to hear her backup singers, and all of the instruments, the sound stage, and the sound field, whether you've paid $80 for the seats or $2,000 for the seats, essentially. And then the last thing that we're doing is moving into consumer products so that you not only are getting certified THX products, but products that we actually produce that are sort of around giving you better sound. And so the first thing that we're talking about is a sound bar. We're also talking about headphones that give you multi-channel sound, so that when you listen to them, you can get Dolby 5.1 or Dolby 7.1 sound through headphones, and then other items that I can't talk about.
Off the record, right? All right, Ryan, let's talk about a superphone and the technology there that can help ones in our audience to really engage their audience and help build their brand.
Yeah. So I built Superphone out of necessity. So I wanted to be able to, like I said, all of the social followers that I had, I wanted them all to have my cell phone number. So if you go on my socials right now, I guess pick Instagram, for example, you'll see my cell phone number right there. And I believe the reason why people don't give their cell phone number out is because they get too much inbound and it's hard to organize, right? I mean, actually, I think even email is hard to organize, right? So you have a bunch of emails, and some people, before I actually had a real manager, I would just create email addresses for all the people who were supposed to be on my team. So I had press@ryanleslie.com, management@ryanleslie, booking@ryanleslie, but it was all just me, right? So, I wanted to look professional, right? And so, I mean, that was when I was coming out of school. I was so excited about email and all the possibilities, and now I realized that a cell phone is infinitely more engaging, and I get my deals closed faster, I get answers faster. When I say a cell phone, I'm talking about either a number or a messaging handle. So my platform actually works on cell phones and Facebook Messenger. And what it essentially does is, number one, is I wanted it to be able to collect information, so I didn't have to do it on any person who sent me a text. So right now, if you all sent me a text right now, my phone will respond to every single one of you.
What is your number? What is your number?
Oh, my number. Yeah, I'll give you my number. It's on my Instagram, but I'll give it to you. It's 646. It's real. It's the same one my mom uses. 646-887-6986. Yeah, you got it. All right. Oh, you texted me. All right. You know it.
And that's not the weather service. That's
No,
really
no,
a number.
that's really my number. That's really
Yeah.
my number. And so what I was interested in doing was, my pain point was that, like he introduced, I had sold 180,000 records on my first album. My second album was nominated for a Grammy, so it was arguably a better body of work, but we only sold 60,000 copies. And so I went into my record company and I said, well, how come we didn't just email everyone that bought my first album? I'm sure they would love to hear a arguably better body of work from me, and you guys spent so much money converting those people into actual buyers the first time around. And they just looked back at me and said, well, we don't know who actually bought your first record. Apple knows, maybe a few folks at Walmart or Target know, but we actually don't know. And so I thought about it for a second. I said, well, how much does it cost to buy out my contract? Because in a modern, technologically advanced world, we actually do have the capacity to know every single person who bought my album. And so in 2013, I began giving my cell phone number out to literally anyone who was interested. It was on all my social platforms. It was in every radio interview, every single magazine interview, every blog, etc. And 33,000 people texted me. Every single one of those 33,000 people received a response that said, hey, I don't recognize your number. Who are you? Can you please just click this link, add your information to my phone? That was part one. Part two, once they added their information to my phone, I could check via their email to my online store and see whether or not they actually bought my album. If they didn't buy my album, I very gently recommended that they buy it. Right? And then the caveat was that as soon as a purchase was made and I was integrated with Shopify, which is an e-commerce store platform, 5 minutes after that purchase, they would receive a thank you text directly from me. Now, it wasn't because I didn't want to be personal with these people. It was because the actual scale of messaging with tens of thousands of people meant that I couldn't do it manually. And I needed a layer of technology to actually scale the personal sentiment of, who are you? Would you like to buy my album? And thank you for buying my album, right? To as many people as possible. The results for me were staggering. 33,000 people texted, 17,000, which is more than 1 in every 2 people who texted, bought my album directly off the text.
Those are conversion rates that you'll never see anywhere else. Yeah. That's pretty fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome. Right? And so what I learned is that even though I had this amazing automation and marketing and sales automation platform over SMS, it still was physically impossible to stay in touch. Right now, I'm on text with 57,000 people, right? It's virtually impossible to stay in touch with all of them. I needed even deeper intelligence. I needed even better natural language processing. I needed even better ways to filter, segment, organize, and prioritize the conversations that were most important for me to actually make the impact that I wanted to make. And so when I decided in 2014 to start productizing this so that anyone who wanted to make their cell phone number the most powerful social handle, more powerful than Twitter, more powerful than Facebook, more powerful than Instagram, more powerful than YouTube subscribers, a real cell phone on any person who is interested in interacting with you, in supporting your business, in potentially investing, in being a customer, then I needed to focus my conversations on people who could help me do that. One of those conversations was with my co-star on the cover of the new Black Enterprise, Tristan Walker. He called me, we had a 30-minute conversation, and he said, you know what, Ryan, I like what you're doing, and also, I never got a text from an artist thanking me for buying their digital album. So I'd like to introduce you to Ben Horowitz. That led from me having 0 investors in my phone book to now over 150, and many of those investors have actually invested in my platform, Superphone. And so I guess the lesson in this simple story is that magic happens in the conversations. Magic does not happen in just having contact information, right? If you look right now in every single one of your phone books, you may actually already have the contact information of the person who can be that co-founder, who can be that support staff member, who could be that advisor, who could be that mentor, who could be that investor. But what we found is that by simple science, we're only keeping track of about 150 people at a time. And so sometimes those relationships that need to stay warm, they end up getting cold. And then when you want to activate the relationship, you feel like your hand is out because you met someone at the BE Tech Summit and you lost touch. And now you want them to invest, and it's been 6 months. And oh, well, it was great meeting you at the BE Tech Summit 6 months ago, but I'd love to catch up and talk about investing, right? And so really now what my platform does is it gives everyone a cell phone number that they can use as a stronger social handle that has all of the organization, filtering, segmentation, prioritization that I had to learn, use, and implement to actually go from being just an idea, a hack for myself, to an actual productized platform, which includes investors like Andre Iguodala, Ben Horowitz, Bessemer Venture Partners, the founders of Angry Birds, right? And these are all people who I met either because they sent me a text or because someone made a warm introduction and my technology was able to keep that relationship warm over the most powerful communication channel that we have today, which is messaging.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. All right, we're going to take some questions pretty soon, but what I'd like to do is, before we take questions, is ask the panel to give some closing remarks, and then we'll definitely take some questions. So, Ty, you want to go first?
Sorry, I interrupted you when you were speaking, but his conversion rate of greater than 50% is higher than any other business that anybody in this room has ever seen. So if you're doing email marketing campaigns, you're happy to get basis points, which is less than a percentage point. So 50% is like, that's insane. I've never heard of that before, actually, and not in a bad way, but I'm just saying that's a testament to your abilities from a CRM perspective to actually deliver yield in terms of your business. So I applaud that. I wanted to take an aside to do that. And then what was your question? I apologize.
No. We're going to give some closing remarks, and then we'll take some questions from the audience.
Sure. So I think for the purposes of this talk, we've spoken rather broadly about technology and where the future is going and things of that sort. For the folks in this room, I would say this as follows. Ideas are important, but they're actually less important than actual tactical execution. So if you're looking at starting a new business or you're currently employed by a company, is the companies that actually achieve and optimize what their employees do are the ones that win. And if you think about the worst jobs that you've ever done, you have two things that you bring to a job. You have capabilities and you have potential. And the worst employers get about a 2 to 3% yield. The very best employers get about a 50% yield, which doesn't sound very promising. But if you think about it, like I cook and I know how to run companies and I do product development and I'm pretty good at typography, there's no job that's going to get 100% of me because it's going to be weird. Hey, can you design this sign and make some cookies? Like that's weird, right? So what you're really looking for is you're both in how you run your own businesses and for the effort that you give, you're looking for businesses and opportunities where you can be tactically crisp, where you can get up to the 50% optimization usage of your capabilities and your potential. And so with that, I would say great ideas do matter, but it's better to be crisp if you really want to win and engage in some of the things that he's spoken about, which is really wealth creation rather than working for a salary.
Awesome, thanks. And Corey?
Yes. Two things I'd like to leave the audience with, two areas that I'm involved with that are truly going to be promising, and I'll tell you why. VR and esports. For esports, many of you may have heard very recently, Rick Fox, Shaquille O'Neal, and Magic Johnson have all invested in esports teams. In addition to that, if you think about it, esports is basically primed to take over. They've already passed hockey, and they're coming for baseball in terms of viewership, in terms of ad revenue monetization. Universities, major conferences, I will name them, the Pac-12, just to start. The Big Ten are looking at figuring out a way to actually give scholarships to esports players. Scholarships, okay? For playing a video game.
My father might die hearing that.
Understood. But, you know, I mean, I'm just saying that's what's going on today. And so that's just one area where there's a wealth of entertainment-based expertise. Like, if you got a wicked crossover at 8 years old in our community, there's a lot of people that are going to help you get to high school, get to college, Nike camps, Adidas camps, everything is set for you. As long as you have the talent, you can get there. But if you are an expert esport player in the US, in our community, there's not too many places to go. This one brother made the finals of a tournament where he's up for $75,000 to win, and he got just racist trolls throughout, and he was like on an island out there. I mean, I'm going off on Twitch trying to help him out and deflect some of this, but there's not enough of us in that space. That's one. VR. It's going to be this big industry, and think about everything that is used with PCs and technology today. VR is going to almost require you to rethink that. Ad platforms, content creation, the way you entertain, like there's just everything for VR. It's a whole new platform being created. And so those are two areas I would actually ask everyone to take a look at, really no matter where you're coming from on it, because I think there's some new opportunities that can be found within those areas. And that's just the areas that I'm more focused on right now. But yeah, definitely something to look at.
All right, awesome. So we'll take some questions. And remember, your name and question. We don't need to know where you're from and everything. It's your name and question, please. Question right there, please.
Hi, I'm Eldridge. My question is to the legend, Ryan Leslie. For the entrepreneurs out here who are trying to build relationships with their customers and we don't have access to Superphone yet, how do you think some tips that we can go about building stronger relationships, especially someone like myself with a subscription-based platform dealing with a high level of traffic of business owners?
Sure. So first and foremost, if you shoot me a text, I'll make sure you get access to the private beta of Superphone so you can use it. All right. Okay, thank you. All right, perfect. I got you. Right. That's number one. But I would say if I have my 2 minutes to give a closing remark, I would say the same thing. I mean, it's really, I always give this example. I was an artist in residence at NYU at the Clive Davis Institute. And I walk in and say, okay, tell me of these two examples, which business is more likely to succeed? One of them that has 3,000 followers on Twitter or 3,000 numbers in their phone book, and the other one that only has 5, right? Unanimously, everyone says the 3,000, right? And then I say, okay, well, let's get a little bit deeper. The demographic of these 3,000, they're all college kids. Whether it's an artist, whether it's a game, whether it's an app, they're all college kids. They're from Boston University, Tufts, Northeastern, Harvard, MIT, 3,000 folks. And the 5 is really just kind of like middle-aged white guys. Which one has more potential to succeed? Once again, unanimously, all the hands went up. Oh, the person with 3,000, right? And then when I said, okay, well, the guy that only has 5 people in his phone book is Ben Horowitz, Mark Andreessen, right? Then all of a sudden, unanimously, all the hands went to the other side, right? And so I think really that simple example is just a testament to the fact that it's not just about having wide, non-specific relationships. It's about knowing as much as possible. For me, I have, I guess, what I would call, instead of CRM, PRM, personal relationship management, because now I believe that we are in that age where we can actually scale personal relationships, where the information is not just consumer information. Yes, I do know today how many people have bought my album, but I also know if I am running late to my Delta flight, I know how many of the people in my phone book actually work for Delta, so I can actually send a text to someone and say, hey, look, I'm running late with my band, and if we miss this flight, then I have to buy tickets for 7 people, so could I possibly gate check my luggage? And that's an actual real story. It's actually happened for me, right? Or when my girls throws the phone at me and it breaks and she says, hey, Ryan, do you know anyone that could do iPhone screen replacement? I can actually, right?
Wow.
I can actually go into my phone and beyond whether or not they bought my album, I can actually see If I search iPhone, I can actually see if there's someone who can actually replace iPhone screens. And now, I don't know if you can actually put if you can quantify the value of that, right? But what I'm saying is that that customer relationship is one level, but the personal relationship, there is value that honestly can be priceless. And so what I would say is that, look, every single relationship, until you reach a scale where it's unmanageable, every single relationship is important. Every single conversation is important. But it's important to be intentional about the relationships that you're looking for, right? So if you're a rapper and you need beats, then you need to find producers. And that should be the intention of the relationships that you build. But once you find the guys that make beats and they say, well, they cost X amount of money, then you should be intentional about figuring out how to make some money. For me, I was cleaning toilets at Harvard. I was a member of dorm crew, so I knew this is how much it costs to actually get what I wanted, and this is how I could actually get it. And so for a lot of young entrepreneurs, for a lot of young artists that I speak to, they definitely have dreams of having that viral hit, right? Because it's happened so many times before. They have dreams of actually getting signed. They have dreams of someone coming into their life.
I don't mean to cut you off,
okay,
but
we're
we're in overtime right now.
Right.
But thank you all. Thank the panel so much. And please reach out to everyone on the social media if you have any questions we didn't cover. And thank you guys so much for being here at the conference. And thank you all for being here.